I have the Director General of Franco Nigeria Chamber of Commerce, is Mr. Moses Umoru. It's great to have you join us on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's great to connect with you all the way from here.
Let's now look at the impact of this extension on businesses. Before we start talking about Nigeria, France. I know you talk about what's even happening in France, but let's look at it basically, generally, the effects of this in business. We see estimates, we see figures coming out, talking about what the effect this has actually cost on all sectors of the Nigerian economy.
Yes, of course. As expected, the COVID-19, which is described as a global pandemic, is, of course, hampers on businesses, first of all. Most businesses are shut down, and there is no economic activity. And of course, when there is no economic activity, there is no revenue. But the problem is that Nigeria here is a particular case, because if you look at the International Labour Organization research in 2018, it discovered that emerging countries have 89% of employment in the informal sector. When you have that kind of situation in Nigeria here, you discover that most shops and small businesses now, SMEs, are shut down, which is a lot of problem, because most of the employers, or employees rather, of these organizations tend to receive payment per day. So automatically, there is already a lot of people that are out of job currently. And look at the 11% or 12% in the formal sector. Aside the communication sector, other sectors are shut down, which speaks of after the COVID-19, many people will have no jobs to go back to, which of course affects the economy, directly and also indirectly. And for an approach in terms of when it comes to economic approach towards dealing with the COVID-19, there is no one size fits all here. Now, for Nigeria, for example, we have the problem of database. The question now is, the government do not have the data of every citizen in the country, of every business in the country, because of course, the vast number of employees are in the informal sector, and this sector is not captured in any data. So what do we do in this situation here? I was talking about using the M-Pesa model to be able to handle such things. First of all, to be able to deal with this, sorry, I'm going a bit far. To be able to deal with this, there has to be a system of quantitative easing. Quantitative easing means that the government has to fund into the economy. Now, not funds in the reserve of the government, no. Because, of course, most of our funds are depleted. Our foreign reserve is already dwindling and the rest of them. The government has to mint currency and then put into the system. But the problem is that how can you effectively get that done when you don't have the data of citizens? That is where we're having a big problem. So the system used in France, used in the US, for example, cannot be adopted here. Of course, now we need to begin to talk to the local governments immediately. Of course, local governments are closer to the people. Let the local government meet the people and tell them, okay, the government has something for you, but you need to be captured, just a little form, your name and then your phone number. Of course, begin to build data. So why this is a problem for us, it creates an opportunity for us to ensure that we capture a lot of people. Look at financial inclusion for Nigeria, for example. 35% financial inclusion for Nigeria. What this means in real term is that out of every 100 Nigerians, only 35 of them have bank accounts. So the issue of usage of BVN to even for unconditional cash transfer and the rest of them might not necessarily work. So there has to be both the automated system and the manual system. See, there is no other way we can deal with this except we boost the economy. 2 months from now, we believe COVID-19 will go away. Of course, definitely, it's temporal. But will people get jobs after COVID-19? Industries have to begin to reboot once again. What happens to a lot of people that have jobs? Manufacturing sector, for example, they have to open their shop once again. They begin to manufacture. Within that, there has to be a gestation period for them to get back into business. And then they will create what we call seasonal unemployment. Within that period, there has to be unconditional cash transfers to citizens, even through businesses, to ensure that businesses are not laying off and all of that. Well, we can handle this if we approach it currently, but of course, as I now, it is a very, very catastrophic situation for the economy of Nigeria.
Mr. Moses, United Nations Trade Development Agency puts the cost at about $2 trillion, which many are saying this could even be more if we look at it. Now, you're the Director General of Nigeria, France, a Chamber of Commerce, and a lot of international businesses. What are your members? What are they saying? What are the feelers you're getting from them? What's happening? There's an extension of the lockdown in France as we speak. Tell us how this comes to people around you.
Yeah, for businesses, it's the same thing globally. Businesses are shut down. There is no production. But the beauty about international businesses as compared to the local businesses here in Nigeria is that there is confidence from government, that the government is going to come to their rescue. And that's the difference. If you look at President Emmanuel Macron announced the same day that His Excellency, the President of Nigeria, announced that it's going to be extension for extra 14 days. President Macron announced that it's going to be extended to the 11th of May, but assured that businesses would have cash transfers to ensure that when the COVID-19 is over, there is no laying off of staff. Of course, for those that get wage per day currently, it's going to affect them, but that is just a little proportion. If you look at, now begin to talk about the informal sector, the volume of the informal sector and the formal sector. So we cannot begin to compare ourselves to the EU countries already because the volume of the formal sector, because, for example, they captured their informal sector. What we have been advocating for is that the informal sector should be captured in the scheme of things. The local government, if you look at even our 77 local government, they give informal taxes to the informal sector. They would have also captured them in terms of data. So now that government needs to come in to help these people, there has to be a way to ensure that everybody gets the necessary help they need. In the EU countries, of course, brands like Total and the rest of them, of course, operation is shut down now, even though the oil market is still going on. But still, there is assurance that, of course, there is reserve from the government and then things can also go on. So we expect a lot of economics after the COVID-19. And one thing I must really mention is that while a lot of analysts have been talking about the catastrophic effect of the COVID-19, one thing we have not mentioned is that economic activities will automatically come back to where it is if there is a vaccine for the coronavirus. That is an aspect we have not actually really looked at. So we, as we begin to prepare for the catastrophic effect of this, we must understand that once there is a vaccine, it automatically shoots the economy back to normal and things will almost go back again right immediately.
Sounding very good, because I was already thinking of trade relations, looking at deals that have been signed before now, agreements, contracts that have been reached, the negative impact this will have on all economies, not just Nigeria. I was thinking about that.
Yeah, the beauty about it is that it is a global pandemic. So who signs the deal and who is expecting the deal to understand is feeling the effect of this. So it's not a case of, okay, a country has misbehaved because there's one virus in your country and it's not in my country. So it's a global issue. And everyone understands risk analysis will have to factor that. Of course, we know that at the beginning of the year, even when IMF, the World Bank came up with their predictions, force majeure was factored in, but nobody expected that this global pandemic would have the effect to this level, right? So that's the way we see it right now. And of course, it has to be factored into deals and the rest of it. Everybody understands that and will find a way around it, one way or the other.
DG, before I let you go, let's talk about palliatives now. You were talking about proper data to help address this. As it is now, Nigeria, we have to work with what we have. We know of BVN, we know of some moves being made by some states like Lagos to register residents and, have a particular number or your address that you could be reached at any time. Now, what do you think, or how well do you see all of this playing out? Because we have to manage with what we have at the moment.
Yes, of course. I personally believe that there has to be, for Nigeria, it cannot be a single approach towards achieving this. It has to be a hybrid approach. So while we're using the BVN, like I heard from the Ministry of Finance, and then looking at those through SMSCs and all of that, we also need to use the local government to be able to reach out to the people one-on-one. And like I said before, why this is a problem, this creates a very, very big, we need to leverage on the opportunity, because when you tell Nigerians that the government is going to give you money, and for the government to give you money, the government needs your information. It's covered that a lot of people will give out their information. So it's an opportunity for us to build the database that we do not have in this country. So let the local government, it should be deployed to local government to go to houses and do you have a bank account? No, the government must pay this money into your bank account. And for you to be able to get this transfer, like the M-Pesa model in Kenya, you do not even need to walk into the bank, just send it. With your little phone, you can just get the information out there, your name, your surname, your address, and all of that, and that is done. So we need to use the opportunity to build the database we have, even going forward. So when we have a situation like this, there can be free flow systems so that we don't have so much effect in terms of our citizenry.
Mr. Moses Umoru, I must thank you for your time. It's really nice talking to you. Mr. Umoru is the Director General of the Franco-Nigeria Chamber of Commerce, in charge of businesses with regards to Nigeria and France business relations.